everybody, and welcome along to this edition of The Final Whistle on lairmedia.tv, and our usual email, info@lairmedia.tv, and make any comments or questions as well. Good evening, Anna Moore, and welcome along again.
Good evening, Pat. Lovely to be with you.
Good evening, James O'Brien, and welcome along again to this program.
Good evening, Pat. Long time no see.
Good evening, Derwynne, and welcome along again to this edition.
Hey, Pat. Hey, everybody.
Now,
Hi,
generally speaking, we're still in the middle of probably still one of the greatest sporting extravaganza that happens every 4 years, although we're a year delayed this time around. But nevertheless, there's still a huge sense of pride amongst the majority of athletes that participate to qualify to represent their country in the Olympics, because not everybody gets a chance. I think there's something like 300 or 400 medals to be won at it as well, gold, silver and bronze. Now we send out a few talking points, but we can speak about what we'll just have an overview of the Olympics to date, and not everybody will be watching every sport because we're only interested in what we are interested in ourselves. I understand that, of course. But Anna, since Anna is on the program, and we'll start with you, Anna. First of all, the boxing, the unfortunate accident of Aidan Walsh in the boxing.
Yeah, Aidan jumped so high when he got the decision that he was after winning the bronze medal that he came down on his ankle, and I mean, he jumped about 5 feet into the air, and he's 11 stone, so to come down from there, and it was when he was actually coming out of the ring that you could see he was after hurting himself. You could see the pain in his face,
Yeah.
It's not a nice thing to happen, but he has a bronze medal, which he didn't expect. He was hoping. He's an Olympian, and they're all Olympians, and very proud of the 7 boxers. Every one of them boxed very well. But he's coming home with a medal where others aren't. So he's one of the lucky ones, even though he did injure himself,
And he was due to fight McCormack.
That's right, Pat McCormack, and Pat McCormack has beaten him twice.
Yeah.
He beat him in the final of the Commonwealth Games, and he beat him in the qualifiers in Paris as well. Maybe this time would have been Aidan's time to beat Pat McCormack. But you see, with Aidan, Pat, he's very elusive. He has great footwork. We call him the dancer.
Yeah.
And with his leg injured, he wouldn't be able to move as quickly as he could. So they were right to pull him, because it wouldn't be right to put him in if he wasn't fully fit,
Well, that's true. And Derwynne, did you get to see any of the boxing in the Olympics?
Yeah, I think we probably get a different feed to you guys in the UK. We get BBC and that, but I watched the one the other day where the French guy kept headbutting that English guy.
Yes.
And cut both his eyes, and then got disqualified. And that was an amazing bout, wasn't it, to watch?
It was, but then he protested. He sat down in the ring for 15 minutes, and then he went out, and then he came back again for another 15 minutes. But the argument this morning all over Facebook and on the Olympic channel was they should bring head guards back for the men. That's what they're saying. But as I told you the last time, the Medical Commission of IABA, which is our world body, have proven that there's less concussion without the head guards than with the head guards.
I was going to ask that question.
Yeah.
About head guards.
That's what it is, Derwynne.
Yeah.
Right.
We covered that, but about they did come down on the side of having none so far. So look,
yeah, they did. The Medical Commission did. Yeah.
Did you get to see any of the boxing?
I didn't. I didn't because I'm not a huge fan of the Olympics. I would have maybe 3 sports that I would be interested in, and staying up late to watch boxing wouldn't be one of them. But having said that, I would apologize to Anna, because if the scheduling had been properly covered, in other words, if I was still buying newspapers every day, so I would know what time it was actually on at, but I didn't have any idea. I think RTE are very remiss in how they how they let the general public know. I mean, I knew when the golf was on because I was able to find out 3 or 4 days beforehand. But as to when a boxing match will be on, I just plain didn't know. I wouldn't be that big a fan anyway. I was very, very sour over Aiden, and Kurt Walker, I think, was very hard done by as well. He was very slow out of the traps.
Yeah.
And if he had started off as well as he finished, he would definitely have won that match. Yeah.
But Jimmy, he did win 2 out of 3 rounds and still lost the contest.
It had
Oh,
to
I know
happen.
that. I know that. I mean, that's
That
what
can
I'm
happen.
saying.
That has happened. It happened to Mary Com as well, the Indian boxer. What happens there was he lost the first round 5-0. The 5 judges gave it to his opponent. The next round he won 3-2. Now, I definitely thought he should have got it 5-0 as well because he dominated the second round.
He did.
But he didn't. He got it 3-2. So at that stage, you had 2 of the judges given the first 2 rounds to the American. So as such, they had given him the win. And the other 3 judges had it a draw going into the last round. Now, Kurt needed those 3 judges to give him the fight to win it. He won that round 4-1. But the one judge that didn't give it to him was one of the judges that gave it to him in the second round, and that's what lost it for him.
Well, it was very
close. But what I'm saying, though, Anna, is, and he said it himself in a subsequent interview, that he was just slow getting up to the pace of the first round. I mean, I know he was hockeyed in the first round, and I mean, there's no, there is no doubt about that. And he said himself, for whatever reason, he was just slow getting to the pace of the fight at the start. Unless, I mean, you can answer this, Anna. Is that a trait? Was the other boxer being cute, knowing that all they had to do was come at him very, very fast?
You see,
round 1.
You see, Jimmy, what we have to remember as well, Billy Walsh was in the other corner.
Yeah.
Who was our high performance coach. And before he left, he had brought Kirk Walker into high performance. So Billy knew Kirk very, very well. And he knew if the American went out and started pressurizing Kirk in the first round, because Kirk is slow to start. But I did think that the second round, Kirk should have got the same as the American did in the first round. He should have got the 5 judges, but the 5 judges didn't see it that way. And that's the way it goes.
But would you not think so that there's a slight fault to be made with the high performance coach is a guy called Antier, is it? Antier?
Pardon? With Czar.
Yeah. Would you not think that he was remiss in not telling Kurt Walker, listen, Walsh knows all about you, so he's going to have this guy teed up to come at you like the hounds of hell in the very first round? Do you not think he should have been told to expect it? Instead of, he said himself afterwards, it came as a shock to him. He was taken by surprise. Should he not have been not taken by surprise?
You see,
I mean,
we don't.
Every one of the papers, Anna, every one of the papers said that they all honed in on the fact that Billy Walsh was a high performance coach certainly for that boxer. So the papers all knew it. Should somebody have not said, listen, let's look at what Billy Walsh knows about Kurt Walker and address it as a problem, if you like? I mean, in my opinion, and I'm not a fan of boxing, but I did see replays of that fight. And over the 3 rounds, Walker was a better boxer overall. He just got caught cold for the first minute and a half of the first round.
You see, what we don't know, Jimmy, is we don't know what he was told, what Sir Ratner, John Conlon told him. We don't know what the game plan was. They would have looked at videos of Duke Reagan, and they would have looked at him. Now, Billy probably would have changed, we'll say, the way he boxed to suit Kurt, you know? Now,
Yeah.
I don't know. As I said, I couldn't criticize the Irish coaches because I don't know what they told Kurt Walker. I don't,
Okay.
but,
All right.
Yeah, and
Okay.
of course, we know the American, just before we finish in this segment, the American was regraded from professional to amateur. And
he had eight professional contests, and I
yes,
don't think it should be allowed.
no, you have a different level of fitness when you're a professional as opposed to an amateur,
Yeah.
which is part-time. Really.
How long ago was he a pro?
He was an amateur up to COVID, and then because no one was allowed box or train amateur at that time, he turned pro because he could get his contests then. So he's been boxing all through COVID. He had 8 contests between the start of COVID until he regraded back to amateur. And we say Kirk Walker would have only had 4 contests in the whole of COVID.
Yeah, well, I mean, that I would agree, and it's not sour grapes. I would only talk about, I can only talk about amateur soccer. I know that a professional footballer, certainly in Ireland, Derwynne, I don't know what it's like in the UK, but certainly in Ireland, a pro can only go back playing amateur when he has stopped being a pro for 2 whole years. So for somebody who was a pro boxer 6 or 8 weeks ago to be suddenly regraded as an amateur, that's nonsense. That's the Yanks yielding their.
But you see, I'll tell you, Jimmy, how he got in. I'll tell you how he got in. So when COVID started, we had here in Europe, we had our qualifying rounds in Paris in April, right? The Americans were called off. There was no Americans, which America would be Canada and all those countries. So that was called off because of COVID. So what they done there was they graded and they seeded the boxers up to 2019 on what they won for that year. And at that stage, that Kirk or Duke, he was an amateur. So he got in as a seeded amateur. That's what he got in as. Even though he's gone professional, he got in as a seeded amateur.
That's right, a seeded number 3. Now, we'll just touch briefly on the protest. I saw the fight myself, and the referee never warned the boxer about headbutts or cuts. No. Never warned him. He just disqualified him.
He can do that.
Oh, I know, yeah. I'm just saying, I'm just trying to be the devil's advocate. If I was warned for a headbutt, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, it's very hard to prove an intentional headbutt. Do you know what I mean? You must use your own judgment. I would be careful. But if I wasn't warned, I'm just saying, like, in the heat of the thing, you only get one chance at this in the Olympics every 4 years. I'm not making a case for him, good, bad, or indifferent. But I think there has to be more accountability from the official there. I mean, if he...
Well, you're supposed to get 3 cautions before you get a warning.
You are.
You're supposed to. But if the referee feels that it was something like, we say it was, the headbutt was very bad, then he can disqualify him without giving him a caution. I didn't see the contest, so as such, I would thought like you, he should have got cautions, Pat, before. If he was doing it and the referee saw it before that, he should have been cautioned before he was given a warning or disqualified.
It's unfortunate the way it happened, because I liked him. I thought he was a very good boxer myself, In fact, I thought he was winning the fight.
Yeah.
I think he was winning the fight, actually, Pat. I think he was. But I think that the English boy was very gracious, because when he was asked about the headbutts, he said he did feel the head 2 or 3 times, but he said, I couldn't say whether it was deliberate or not, he said, and I wouldn't say, he said, that it was. And I thought he was very gracious with that, because he could have elaborated on that if he wanted to.
The Final Whistle is the program here on nearmedia.tv. Tell all your friends about us. And we're on the Bank Holiday Monday in the Republic of Ireland. We're recording this program. We go out tonight on all our platforms. So anyway, we hope you'll enjoy it. Now, lads, we'll just move on a bit there to soccer just briefly. And we put in a little headline here. Where is Harry? We're all looking for Harry. Now, Derwynne is over there in West London. Now, Derwynne, I don't know, did you go out today looking for Harry down to the local shop or anything? But
I
They're
nipped
all
into Waitrose thinking he might be in there buying some burgers or something.
They're also looking for him in Tottenham, I believe. Is that right,
I
Derwynne?
think they are. Yeah, I think Tottenham are desperately looking for him.
Any whispers around there? Any whispers you heard?
No, all the rumours on sort of social media and everything else, and with your mates and stuff, playing golf earlier this morning. There's Man City's got him, and he's probably up in Manchester having talks.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
on, that
I-
was on
I-
the other day as well.
I find that hard to believe because the real story at the moment is that City have put in a serious bid for Jack Grealish, and they're talking about, is it 117 million? Oh, sorry, it's
Wow.
100 million sterling. That'd be 117 euros roughly, give or take. And if that's true, and Pat will understand what I'm saying here, and if they're allowed also by Kane for the 100 million plus, then that means, as far as I'm concerned, the financial fair play rule is gone
Done.
beyond the joke. It just can't be right that they can actually do it. The Sky Sports have a transfer news program on at 5 o'clock every day, and I happen to be watching it, and they were saying that the club that are most likely to have the money to buy him is Chelsea, because they've bought pretty well nothing over the last couple of years. The only issue is, will he go from Tottenham to Chelsea? I think he's a Londoner. I think he's a Cockney through and through. I think if he had a choice of going to even Chelsea as opposed to City, he would go. But I think if City get Grealish and if they get Harry Kane as well, I think it's an appalling indictment of where the game has gone, because it's just showing that money is going to buy everything. City bought somebody else, didn't they? They've made some other serious purchase as well.
Well,
They seem to have a lot of money.
he could go to the other Manchester club very quickly as well. He could go to United as well.
Can't see that. I can't see United having the sort of money that
No.
Harry. I can't see them competing. They could possibly afford his transfer fee, but
Yeah.
they couldn't compete with the wages that PSG and City and Real
Chelsea.
Madrid and all the rest of them can afford. And I don't, for 1 minute, sorry Anna to be saying this, I don't believe the bollocks they come up with about I want to win medals. If you ask any professional footballer, what do you want? A league medal
It's the money.
or 350,000 a week?
Is that
That's
ridiculous?
what the Fleckers are talking about. What in the name of God are they doing, saying I'd prefer to get a medal playing for Liverpool in the league and be on 80,000 a week instead of being set for life with 1 year's wages? And I think that is what will woo him. And I think that's where City might be a problem, because City, as far as I know, have a fairly tight wage structure. They don't pay gazillions to their players.
No.
Now, unless Mina Raiola has a way of getting brown paper bag wages to the players, which wouldn't surprise me at all. But, certainly, if City are paying that kind of money, sorry to hog in the program there.
Jimmy,
paying
do you know
big
something?
wages.
I saw John Delaney was over at the Euros, as you know, and he's very good at hiding money in boots of cars, you know. I wonder, was John Delaney talking to Harry after the Euros, do you think?
He could well have been. He could well have, and actually, it's probably where the bastard is going to make his money now, on consultancy fees, on
Yes.
how to hide money away. You know, maybe he's in cahoots with the super agent.
Look,
let's sort this thing out.
I must say, I was always I'm not saying this because he's Irish, Harry Kane, and I think we have to wish him the best, obviously, because you know he had a couple of poor years at Tottenham, and I think myself his stature as a player went down a bit because probably because of the team around him as well. You know, you can't do everything on your own. And I think is he 28 or 29 now, you know?
29.
And I think that I think he's gone from Tottenham. Look, there's no secret about that. He's
Yeah.
gone from Tottenham. And as you said, Derwynne and Jimmy, I think, lads, the only club who can afford him
Him is Man City.
is the McDonald's of soccer, which is Man City. They
But-
can buy anything for a happy meal, you know. That's the way.
But
I look
Jimmy,
at it,
But,
do you?
but doesn't it, sorry, Anna, doesn't it just say it all about this rubbish about I'm going for
The medal.
medals? When he had, as you say, Pat, 3 dire years with Tottenham, Tottenham stood by him and nurtured him and brought him along and paid him his wages and carried him through. So after a year and a half, after they back him to the hilt, he says, thank you very much. I'm not going to bother my arse showing up for training, and I'm not even going to tell you. So they are just a shower of mercenaries. I don't care what anybody says. That's all they are. They're in it for the dash, and they'll do whatever it takes.
And
Doesn't it say it all, though? Doesn't it say it all about Irish football? We're talking about the 2 highest within the UK league. The 2 highest transfers this season are 2 paddies.
And I'm just wondering, lads,
Grealish is another paddy.
I'm just
But
wondering, lads,
sorry.
did you see any of the soccer coverage over the weekend? I'm just wondering, he wasn't at with Wayne Rooney at the hotel or anything. I didn't see Harry at the hotel at all.
And
No,
now leave
no,
Wayne
they were-
alone now.
No,
Leave him
no,
alone.
there's serious ageism in Japan. They have a rule that no prostitute can be under 30, over 30 years of age. So that shags Rooney. He just has no interest.
But Jimmy, do you feel could the FA in England put, we say, a ceiling on the wages? Because I mean, I was looking yesterday at something on Facebook with one of the Liverpool players that is re-signing, and I mean, he's on 100,000 at the moment a week. I mean, that's, my God, that's not natural money, lads. It's, you know, it's flying in the face of God. I mean, it's ridiculous. Could they not put a ceiling on it?
But the UEFA have tried it. They have tried with this financial fair play, the famous FFP. I know what the FF should really stand for, but part of the financial fair play is that there are ratios. Your expenditure the wage expenditure can only be a certain percentage of your overall expenditure.
You're right,
and your income has to be of a certain type. So you can't get what Chelsea have. This is why Chelsea have a huge problem. You can't get one guy pouring billions into the club and using it to pay huge wages and pay huge transfer fees. That's what the financial fair play was supposed to be. City were found guilty of breaching those financial fair play rules. And what happened to them? They got, excuse me again, a fucking 20,000 fine.
Yeah.
I mean, Guardiola's kids could pay that out of their pocket money.
Yeah.
It was a fiasco.
It was.
If they kicked him out of the Champions League, they would have made a serious statement.
Well, Jimmy, no, the English FA were remiss there. What the English FA, I know Derwynne come in this, at that time when they were found guilty, and it wasn't the very first time they were found guilty of breaches of regulations.
Yeah.
The English FA should have demoted them to the Championship as a punishment. That will absolutely send a signal to all the other clubs, and the points you're touching on.
Yeah, but I mean, even if they
but Pat, sorry, the big problem there is that they went to the Court of Arbitration to Sport, who supported them. Now, if the FA bumped them down to the Championship, which I 100% agree they should have done, all that would happen is that City would go back to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, and the FA would get censured. And no matter how much the FA would have wanted to do it, no matter how fair it would have been for the FA to do it, the bottom line is it would have been a hollow gesture, because it would not have been upheld by UEFA, and that's the sad part. I mean,
So
how can you have any time for UEFA after the fiasco of the rejigging of the Champions League,
Yeah.
which was followed very quickly by the big clubs saying, we don't want to play this kind of game, so we're going to form our Super League. And instead of the 6 clubs being told, and I support Liverpool, and I hate
I
saying
do.
this, all 6 of them should have been told, that's it, guys. Back off
You're
and
out.
play your own Super League. You're out of the Champions League for 3 years or 4 years or 5 years, and see how the missing money will work out then. And then UEFA turn around to all the sports television channels and say, if you cover a Super League, we won't give you the Champions League
Yeah.
or the European Cup, and we'll make sure that FIFA don't give you the World Cup. So how would you like having 6 teams as being the only soccer coverage that you have? And if you take the TV revenue out of clubs' pockets, it is going to make one serious dent.
So
Serious.
just to finish with this segment, we believe we'll be seeing Harry in blue, lads. Is that true?
It looks like it.
He'll be in blue. Well, Harry,
It might be Chelsea and it might be City.
yeah, exactly, because Chelsea are
It could
blue.
be Watford or United.
Oh, Jesus, Jimmy Watford is blue as well. Look, Harry.
Pat, before we go, lads, is Jimmy, sorry, and Derwynne, is it not very sad, we'll say? You have the likes of City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, those big clubs, right? And you have the other clubs in the league, and you're saying to yourself, they can't afford what City and them are doing. So are the likes of City and those other clubs, are they buying their titles?
Of course they are. So that was the whole idea of Guardiola coming over. They bought a team. That's why they're not. I mean, there was some.
I feel very sorry, Pat. I feel very, very sorry for the likes of, we say, Crystal Palace and all these clubs, Newcastle, Sunderland. I mean, they haven't a hope.
Of course, Anna, you have another London club this year now, Brentford. Brentford after coming up to the Premiership. Now, obviously,
God help us.
We wish them well, Derwynne, but do you think they'll stay up?
I hope they do stay up. I do hope they stay up.
Yeah, and Norwich are back again.
Their revenues, the Brentford revenues, I mean, Brentford ground probably holds about 20,000. And I mean, it's right on the M4 as you go into London by literally at Chiswick roundabout, really.
Yeah.
And it's a great football club to go and watch football at. It's fantastic. But it's like going back 50 years. But I can't imagine when United, Liverpool, City fans come down. I mean, I can't imagine the aggro they're going to have in and around Brentford, because the ticket allocation will be something like 1,500 fans, because they work it on a percentage. I mean, there's more United fans in London than there is in Manchester.
Oh, God.
I never thought of that, actually. It'll be a tough one for
Brentford.
Derwynne, there's more Manchester United fans in Shannon than there is in Manchester.
The final whistle is the programme, lads, on dermedia.tv, and our email is info@dermedia.tv. We'll just touch on the rugby, the rugger. The Lions are a shambles, Derwynne. They're a complete shambles. They got no score from open play in a test match. And I'd say from the management down to the players, they're on a holiday. Some of them are on the holiday for the end of their career, which is a shame, really, because there were some fine players not picked for the Lions that can play rugby. There were some players, I mean, this chap they were talking about that fixed his shoulder. I don't know what he's doing on the team. So he's no good at the moment. I mean, I thought they were shambles. Did you get to see it, Derwynne?
I did. I watched it on Saturday night. I mean, I thought the tactics were all wrong.
Yeah.
And I think Gatland's kind of, he's turning into Ferguson, isn't he, with his mind games and all the rest of it. I'm not sure about the South African water boy. I have to be honest about that. That seems to me like there's a few too many coaches getting on the pitch there.
Yeah.
But I just find it all a bit I think it's a bit sad, really.
Wasn't
It's-
Rasmus, wasn't he playing mind games all last week with
Yeah.
the lines as
yeah,
well,
he
you know?
was,
And
yeah,
I thought they were very, very rough. I mean, Conor Murray got an awful to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was Conor Murray on his own was the recipient of
Yeah.
2 red card tackles.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That tackle in the air. How your man wasn't even yellow carded for it is
Well,
disgraceful. I mean,
Bigger got one, didn't he?
and the hokum excuse that they gave that he didn't land on his shoulder, he landed on his back. The rule about a tackle in the air is sending off. No matter what your man happens, if you tackle him in the air, catch him and lay him down gently on the field, it doesn't matter. You're still tackling him in the air, and it's a sending off offense. And who was at fault for that? Erasmus, with his hour-long video that the refs made mistakes right, left, and centre, and it was patently obvious that all that was going to happen was the referee was going to give nothing against Erasmus. And I think it is, I mean, for a sport that I never followed as a kid because it was a snot-nosed Paddy school who played rugby in Waterford. Sorry, Derwynne, if you happen to be someone who kicks with your left. But you know, I actually got to like the game and I know something about it. And it is, I always thought it was a game of honour, much the same way that golf is, but it's turned into, again, money has turned it into as tainted as soccer is and any of the big money sports where the filthy lucre is ruling everything and it is ruling that. And we saw it back in, when was it? The famous Ireland tour that was in the middle of apartheid, and they went out in spite of the government telling them to, and the International Football Union. They went out there. They went out there for money, nothing else, and that far back. And it was an amateur sport then. So it's, you know, it's terribly tainted.
I suppose.
And certainly, I never thought I'd hear myself saying this. I have
we're not going to gloss over. Yeah, Jimmy, we're not going to gloss over the tackles on Conor Murray. But that aside, Conor Murray, as a serious test player, is no more.
No.
Conor Murray should not have. I know I'm an Irishman myself. He should not have been on the team at all. He's way too slow with his passing.
Yeah,
that's just me, Derwynne. I don't know what you think yourself. And Owen Farrell will be no improvement.
But you know what you say, Pat.
Farrell is an out half, not a scrum half.
Yeah.
But you know what you say as
Price
well.
will be his replacement.
Yeah.
I mean, we won last week. The Lions won last week. How come they could go from winning? I know they only won by a few points, but going from that to be annihilated this week.
Yeah.
Because they were annihilated, like, you know.
I'd probably say there's a part of that is the South Africans are getting better. They were probably caught cold in that first game because they haven't played any matches, even though there's some of them have been playing in South Africa A and stuff. That was a bit of a shock for us. They didn't look like South Africa in that first game, did they?
No. I thought they were superb. I think they're a superb team. I always loved them when they won in 95. I know didn't win more, but I thought this South African team, not because they beat the Lions. I mean, Scotland would have beaten the Lions last Saturday, you know, with respect.
Well, it's a big physical game, isn't it, with South Africa? You know that. I would have thought, when you've got New Zealand saying, the All Blacks say the only tough game they ever really think about, is the game against South Africa.
Yes.
That tells you a story, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And South Africa are being touted as entering the Six Nations. I would say, I hope it doesn't come to pass because
You're joking.
Yeah, they're looking to enter the Six Nations because the reason is they'll have more games. They'll have more top games. But I mean, Wales, Scotland, Ireland, with respect, and England and France.
And Italy.
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 They wouldn't beat South Africa.
No.
No.
Yeah, but I mean, let's call a spade here. They don't win the Southern Hemisphere version every year.
No.
So I mean, perhaps the reason they want to play in Europe is because they want to be able to win the competition every
Yeah.
year in a
Yeah.
way that they can't win in the Southern Hemisphere. I think South Africa, like I said, I don't know that much about rugby, and I started watching rugby when it was an amateur sport, and I think South Africa would do serious justice, sorry Anna, to the thuggery that went on in the amateur game 30 years ago, and that's what they're playing. It's just sheer bullying, toughness, and the reason why, sorry Pat, the reason why Conor Murray was out there is because he's 6'2" and supposedly able to take care of himself. Ali Price is 5'9" and not of the same weight or physical stature. Gatlin knew that there was going to be serious bullying. I think he's fixated with Alan Wynne Jones, and you're right. Certainly, Ty Byrne would have been a far better option last weekend
Oh yeah.
to Alan Wynne Jones, because he's big, he's strong, and he's young, and he's not injured, and he's not minding himself. But I certainly wouldn't drop Conor Murray, and I certainly would put in Owen Farrell next time round, because they're two seasoned halfbacks, and I think the Lions need them. They need thuggery up front, they really do, and they need to lay down a marker very, very quickly, because if they baby their way to a third test defeat, it'll prove that Erasmus is right, really, and I mean he won the mind game without doubt.
And
100%.
Definitely.
before we go away from rugby, lads, something that warmed my heart was watching Fiji win the sevens, their gold medal in the rugby sevens at the Olympics. I thought it was just fantastic. And I was shouting for their women as well, but alas, it was not to be. But they're pretty good, you know. Do you see any of that, lads? Do you see any of that, Hannah? Any of the women's?
I didn't see the women's. I saw Ireland all right. And I was very disappointed because I know it's a very new sport here in Ireland, but I thought they would do a lot better than what they did do.
Yes.
But they were only barely beaten in their pool match, though. They were only beaten by a last-minute score, weren't they?
They were, but Jimmy, it doesn't matter what you're beaten by. If you're beaten and you're out, and that's it.
But it was.
I know, but I mean, I think
I'm being truthful.
If you think about it, right, there has been the sevens game has been played in Ireland for the last 20 years, and the IRFU saw no value in it, and wouldn't enter teams into international sevens competitions.
Yeah.
So Ireland in the sevens rugby are babies on the world stage. To have even gotten to be within one score of making the semi-finals, I think was a superb performance, because they have been the poor relations of rugby in Ireland, which is a disgrace.
I was very disappointed for them. I really was, because they went out there to try to prove that sevens is a good sport, and that they were trying to get the RFU to look, this is what we can do, but it didn't happen for them. It didn't. They were unlucky. There was some, they were unlucky, but I felt very sorry for them. I really did.
I don't know about you, Derwynne, but I caught a good bit of the golf over the weekend in the Olympics, and I must say, obviously, I think, first of all, to be parochial, but McIlroy and Lowry did well.
They did.
That has to be admitted. They did well.
Yeah.
I mean, the American won the gold, and forget now who won the silver.
Rory Sabatini. Slovakia. Slovakia, me arse. Born in Argentina, but anyway, never mind.
He's played for about 3 different countries, Sabatini.
Yes, yeah. We'll take him next time round. But
I was going to say,
that's exactly what I was going to say. I wonder, he's from Argentina? Maybe his grandfather was the head of the Argentinian Navy. So that's many years.
Well, he
Something, you know, by the way, history lesson, the Argentinian Navy was set up by an Irishman. So there you go.
and do you know what his
Sure,
name
we're
was?
everywhere.
Do you know what his
The
name was?
Irish are everywhere.
Do you know what his
Of
name
course
was?
we are.
Barry. Barry was his name.
Was
He
he your
wasn't from
cousin,
Cork, though.
Pat?
Well, I
He
didn't,
wasn't from
I
Cork.
didn't find that.
He wasn't from Cork.
I was never into
Carlos
wearing
Barry.
uniforms anyway. You know, I was never into wearing uniforms, so I'm probably not
And
related.
it wasn't
you know?
Barry.
Carlos Barry.
You know, some countries pay you if you win a medal, Derwynne. I didn't know that, you know. I'm glad you said
Yeah,
that.
I only found that out today.
And the chap, CT Pan won the bronze medal. And you know the story. What is the story about
Yeah,
that?
he won more than the guy who got gold.
You're joking. And how's that? How was that, Derwynne?
Every Olympic, well, let's say the big countries, so the Americans, the Chinese, I think you'll find it might be across the board, actually.
Yeah.
They have different tiers and different levels within the tiers. So if you're level 3 and tier 1 sport, they earn money. So a bronze is worth X, a silver's worth X, and a gold is worth the most. But the Taiwanese, as in Taiwan, were paying. Golf apparently goes into that top level, and a bronze was worth about £200,000 to him.
Wow.
America were paying something. I think they paid $80,000 for winning gold.
Yes.
Wow.
So your man that won the bronze, as I said in my thing, it was a gold really for him.
If he'd won, if the guy from Taiwan had won, he would have won nearly £800,000.
Wow.
Jesus.
Yeah, if he'd got gold in golf from Taiwan, but I sent that to Pat today.
Yeah.
Because I found an amazing article, and then I then started digging around, and you've got GB and Northern Ireland are on the same deal. So, you know, did Dina Asher, whatever her name is, knowingly go out to the Olympics to fulfill a contract to get paid for her contract, knowing full well that she can't run, and she could probably limp through the heats, but she can't compete in the proper game.
No.
And then she pulls out the 200, but being at the Olympics, that actually confirms that she's got her contract. She's fulfilled her part of the contract.
And she gets her grant. She gets
a lottery money, but she also then gets all her other TV money for doing all these silly bloody adverts with Aldi and Muller Corner Rice and all that other crap. And you start, you know, to me, that I find that there was another British girl today running in the 200 hurdles. She nearly stopped halfway around because, well, if you'd seen her leg, if she'd been a horse, you would have put her down.
Yeah.
Her leg had more strapping on than her mummy. And like they were saying, oh, we didn't realise she's injured. And you're like going, yeah, right, of course she didn't. And she got halfway round and literally she was nearly stepping over the hurdles at the end rather than running over him.
Jeez.
And you're again, me being, say, cynical, I'm going, well, there's another one just confirming her lottery money check.
Yeah, but Derwynne, they have to make times, you know, to get to the Olympics. They have to make certain times to get there. So they have to work to get that.
But wouldn't you think that if, to me, maybe I'm being a little bit too Corinthian or something, because to me, if you know you cannot compete because you're injured and you know that you're going to be pulling out, you're taking the place of someone, let's say younger, who would have learnt from that experience of being out there. And if further down the line, you'd be better off with a youngster having the experience than some, I don't want to say it has been.
Yeah.
But
I don't think it works. I could be wrong. But if we say, right, if she pulled out, which if she was injured, she should have pulled out. But I don't think they could put somebody else in if that person hadn't made the time. There's certain times they have to make to get on a team or to get to the Olympics.
You're right.
So they wouldn't be able to put in another person in there in her place. I don't think so.
But Anna, I know
unless they
myself.
had,
I know
unless they had
myself.
made the time.
Yeah,
Yes, unless
Unless
they
they had
made the
made the
time.
time.
Yeah.
there are A standards, and I know there are B standards. That's to encourage very, very small countries who may never have a chance to send somebody. So there's A standards and B standards.
Yeah.
No, our athletics team so far have been appalling. Appalling. There's no two ways about it.
I felt very sorry for Thomas Barr when he hit the hurl. I felt very sorry for him.
Yeah.
I think he could have done something if he hadn't hit that hurl, Pat.
I don't know. I think if you look at his times wouldn't push him into a medal in the
Would they
final.
not?
No.
I find it amazing that you've got America in track and field and they've not actually got a gold yet.
No.
And they've been running around in circles for a few days now, haven't they?
As we were talking about people breaking the rules like Man City and all that. Russia have been banned from the Olympics.
Yeah.
I tell you, you put that up on our thing. What happens there, because my boxing world body are also suspended by the IOC. Our boxers cannot box under IABA, which is our world body. Usually IABA can put in all their own officials and they run that part of it, right? So as such, the IOC took over boxing, and they would say there's a man that's involved in judo is over the boxing, right? So the thing about it is you go under like, well, Ireland and all the boxing go under their countries, but because of the drugs and everything with Russia, you'll see, instead of Russia on the back of them, you'll see ROC, and that's Russian Olympic Council. So that's who's actually they're running under.
I know that, Hannah. They should not be there. It's a black and white issue. They were proved through Sochi. There was systematic, government planned systematic doping in all athletics in Russia. And they're there today in Tokyo. And to me, every time I see a Russian winning a medal, I don't care who they are. To me, it's not right. It's simply not on. It gives carte blanche to anybody. And then you have the Farskell situation a couple of years ago, where Gatlin, he got 2 doping bans at 2 different times, and he was still allowed into the Olympics and run. That's making a mockery of everything, isn't it?
But Pat, there are a lot of honest Russians out there as well. So is it fair to take them all out?
That's a matter for their government to clean up their act. And until
that's what the IOC have told our world body, IABA, that we have to clean up our act, and we are doing it. And we owed, I think it was 10 million we owed, that's been paid off. And we'll say the 36 officials from the last Olympics were all stepped down, that will never judge or officiate again. So we are getting our act together. Our world body is getting our act together, you know.
Oh, yeah. I agree there, but as I said before, without labeling, but what do you think of this, Derwynne, having a country banned because of being found guilty of systematic government-planned doping programs for athletes, and yet they're allowed to compete at the Olympics?
Yeah, I find it hard that they can actually hide the fact that they were changing tests and urine tests and all the results anyway, and then come out. I just find it hard to get my head around that.
Under a different banner.
Yeah, if you've been caught, you've been caught, haven't you? I mean, and I know we all go, oh, you know, did they know they were doing it and all the rest of it? And but you kind of, I can't believe that all. I mean, I personally think athletics is all bent anyway. I think they're all on it somewhere along the line. I think they're all doing it. I really do. But you know, you watch someone run. I find it hard to believe that you can get one runner. There was a girl today.
You're going to say exactly what I was thinking.
She's like 100 yards ahead of everybody. And, you know, you kind of sit there and go, well, at 10, 20 yards, I get. When it starts getting up 50 plus yards ahead of everybody, you kind of go, to me, if I was one of the officials, I'd be oiking her straight away. So go and test that one.
Because Derwynne, she was after running the morning time in a heat for the 15 or the 5,000 or something. Yeah. And she's in line to win the gold medal at the 15, the 5,000 and the 10,000.
But she fell in her heat.
And she got up and won.
And Derwynne, she fell in her heat and still won the heat.
Yeah.
There was one American hurdler today. She actually was slow. She slowed down to a jog with about 30 yards to go to the finishing line in one of the heats. And she still won by 40 yards.
But I thought today was very hard for any athlete to run in that wet conditions that was there today.
Yeah.
The other day I was watching the 100 meters, men's 100 meters. And I mean, usually now, I love the Olympics and I love all the athletics. I watch all those. But some of the athletes. But I was looking at the 8 people in the 100 meter final, and we didn't know one of the names, Yeah. But I thought it was brilliant to see the likes of Italy win. I thought it was brilliant. And then I watched the women's one, and I thought that was very funny. You had the 3 Jamaican women winning, but the girl that won was elated because she broke world and Olympic records. But the other 2, they won 1, 2, and 3 Jamaica, they were disgusted. They didn't go near her for ages. They were really sour about it.
Well, you don't know, you see, lads. You don't know what's going on. But I'll tell you, I'm after falling in love in this Olympics. I must admit it openly, apart from myself, being in love with myself. I'm after falling in love with the Australian people, athletes, particularly the swimmers. I think they're a breath of fresh air. I think it's fantastic watching them. And their attitude, whether they win the gold, silver, or bronze, it doesn't matter. It's the sheer delight of the people. And I don't know, is it the personality or is it the attitude of the country? I don't know. Jimmy, did you see much of the swimming?
I didn't, which is not like me, because swimming would be a sport that I would have a lot of time in. One sport I was looking forward to seeing, but nobody covered it, which was the surfing, which was in the Olympics for the first time, because you wouldn't know it to look at me, but once upon a time I was a surfer. But it's interesting what you're saying about the Australians. I mean, swimming is like breathing to the Aussies, certainly the ones on the coast. But of course, they're, again, let's go back and let's not make Derwynne too embarrassed or upset. Most of Australia are the Irish are descendants of the Irish people who were sent out as criminals by England. So, when Australia win the Ashes, when we win the swimming in the Olympics, I take great pleasure, great national pride in seeing our auxiliary Irish country doing well out there. But they're always like that, Pat. They're the same in.
But Pat, Jimmy is saying about the Irish involved. Did you not see Charlie Haughey's grannies winning a gold medal? Was it a gold or silver she won?
Yeah, for Australia.
2 silver medals.
No, for Hong Kong.
2 silver medals. But the Australians, to me, in the swimming, I love watching them. I just, there's a certain, I don't know, Great Britain as well, must be acknowledged, Derwynne, has won an awful lot of swimming medals as well this time.
There's one girl, she won 5. One girl win 5 medals, Derwynne. One of the English girls.
That's
the first time anyone in Britain or in GB done that, was it?
Well, that's Scott. That's I think Duncan Scott, is it, or Scott Duncan Scott?
I think so.
I think he's actually the most. He's won the most medals. I think he's up there with he's higher up than Redgrave and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
He's won more medals than anybody else, apparently.
But not in the same Olympics, though, Derwynne.
No, but you
No.
know, in a accumulation of over.
Yeah.
He's one.
Time.
Overall.
He's
Yeah.
the only
I mean,
British.
It'll be a long time before anybody competes with Mark Spitz, though.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
goals.
He was brilliant. He was brilliant.
Spitz is about 8th on that list of
all-time Olympians. Yeah, probably.
Phelps is
but
the
still,
leader.
Winning 7 in one games.
That's
I
right.
mean, there will always be sports where the age doesn't matter. Swimming, unfortunately, is
Isn't
a
matter.
young person's sport. So, I mean, to compete in 2 Olympics as a swimmer is bordering on the miraculous. So, I mean, there will be, for example, Redgrave, the rower, they got 4 Olympics out of it, didn't they? Over a 12-year period. So I mean,
Redgrave competed in 5 Olympic Games. 5 of them.
Yeah, four with the other guy, and the most recent one.
Dads.
Pinson.
No, Derwynne.
He actually, Redgrave came out today and criticised it because they're in turmoil, the English rowers, and he came out and he criticised them today. He said they were too soft. That's what he said today.
I think they've won 1 medal, haven't they? A silver.
Yeah.
That's the only rowing medal.
We won gold. Pull like
we
a
did,
dog.
and bronze, and bronze.
Yeah, we won gold.
I mean, those 4 girls weren't expected to win anything themselves. They weren't expecting.
They must be rowing with the tide up the Liffey or something.
Go where then? They're from Skibbereen.
Yeah,
they've got a little engine.
Sorry, Anna. Only one of them was from Skibbereen.
Was that all?
Yeah, 2 from Galway and 1 from Dublin. I hate to admit one of them was from Dublin.
Our medalists are from Skibbereen Sport Club, Paul and Finton.
Yeah,
but just fantastic to see them.
Yeah.
And there was a few, I won't say racist, disparaging remarks. If you go over, you can look it up on YouTube after the show with the commentary on Eurosport on that particular race. But it was brilliant because...
the only thing I want to know is where's the Irish Navy's submarine at the moment? It's not out in Japan underneath some lake, is it?
It is, yeah. It's underneath the lake.
It's not towing
Derwynne,
people along, is it?
Jealousy is an awful thing, Derwynne.
Periscope down.
Oh, we're off.
Yeah, it was great to see them winning the gold medal. And we had the Irish Olympic Council, and I know they have targeted 3 medals for this Olympics. 3 medals, and we have
3.
2 bronze. So, and I'm almost certain the interview with Kelly Harrington was amazing.
That's my Kelly. That's my girl.
Yeah, we have a picture of you doing her hair. Doing her hair into braids. How long ago?
That was in Kazakhstan at the World Championships. That's the first time she had got to the final of a World Championships. Katie was beaten. Katie won the bronze, and Kelly got into the final. And I was inside in the dressing room braiding her hair. I love that photograph. I love it. But she's the one of all of them. All I wanted, because as I told you before, Pat, I've been through the ups and the downs with her. I dried her tears when she lost. I hugged her when she won. I had to go to disciplinary with her, and I held her over a sink when she was sick, and she's just so special to me. And she's went through so much, as I said, in her life, that she deserves a medal. This girl, she boxes in the morning. Actually, she messaged me after that contest, and when I sent her a message, because she comes off social media, but she answers me. And she said, Anna, will you go to bed? It's all hours in the morning, she said, in Ireland. She said, she's rangy, she's tricky. So I'll take this contest 1 minute at a time, 1 round at a time.
What time is it on it?
It's on at 25 to 5 in the morning, about 4:45 in the morning. I have no sleep in the last week. You see, what you're saying, Jimmy, that you can't see the sports. I had to actually, if you've got a sports Q box, you go in and you get Discovery Plus. I hadn't, so I had to buy it for $6.99 for the week. But it's worth it because I can get all the boxes, and you can go into whatever sport you want and you can get all that sport on it. And it's worth $6.99, lads, for me anyway.
And then who's she boxing?
She's boxing a girl from Algeria. The girl is very tall, very long hands. You know, I mean, she wouldn't have the skills that Kelly has. And everyone I'm talking to are saying, my son included, like they're all saying, well, you know, Kelly will beat her. I hate that people saying things like this because I suppose I'm a pessimist more than an optimist. I know she should do it, but I don't want to be saying it flying, you know. But she should. And if anyone deserves a medal, Kelly Harrington definitely deserves a medal.
If she wins this contest, she's a bronze medal winner.
Yeah, this is for her medal. This is for her bronze medal. And as I said, Pat, there is no one deserves it more than Kelly Harrington.
Right.
Kelly, as you know, I went the world with Katie, and Katie is the loveliest person you could meet. She was like one of my own grandchildren. But Kelly Harrington is a brilliant ambassador for female boxing, but she's a brilliant ambassador for Dublin and inner city Dublin.
Yes.
These kids have she didn't take up boxing, she was 15. She'll tell you herself, if she hadn't, she could have been in different circumstances.
Yes,
and the kids in inner city in Dublin are going into boxing clubs because of Kelly, and they're staying out of trouble. And that to me is brilliant.
Now we have 2 or 3 little items before we finish up, lads, and Derwynne will be interested in the next item. Jimmy, the hurling is down to the last 4.
Woohoo! Come on, Limerick!
The red and white and the white of Waterford prevailed over the weekend, James. Did you get to see your beloved Waterford playing?
Oh God, I did. And no matter how much I was happy to see Waterford winning, it was marvellous to see them beating the Tipperary Gougers. And they're still the dirtiest hurling team in the country. Don't care what anybody says. And I'll tell you, I sound very, very juvenile saying this, but one thing really, really pissed me off. A sub, actually the Tipperary guy knew what he was doing. It was when Colin Dunford went on, and he was running out on the pitch, straight in front of the ref, the Tipperary number 7. I would guess and say he was one of the Mars, because pretty well they're all Mars, had a kick at him as he was running onto the pitch. And the referee just laughed. I think that's, first of all, it's a damning indictment of the game.
Yeah.
Where, you know, welcome to the game. Shouldering him is one thing, but kicking a guy when he's just running onto the pitch is not on. And the referee just laughing at it. That, to me, typifies what Tipperary hurling is about. They're always dirty, and it was lovely to see them losing. And I would hope, Anna, either Waterford have got the bit between their teeth and Limerick are cold, or Waterford will be tired. But I'll tell you something for nothing. I can't lose next weekend, because I would be just as happy to see Limerick going in to winning another All-Ireland final. I'm only sorry, talk about a paradox, I'm only sorry that Tipperary didn't beat Waterford, so the Limerick could bait them out the door, which they would do when they get to play them against. I think they're very much an aging team. I think Tipperary are gone. I don't think there's anything coming through, thankfully. So I think the four best hurling teams in the country are in the semi-finals, certainly at the moment. Galway also are an aging side. So it was a great game. Cork and
Dublin.
The Cork match wasn't so good. I think Cork might have sort of thought they were playing 15 jerseys and didn't get to the pace of it. They beat Dublin very, very easy. In an All-Ireland quarter-final, it shouldn't be very easy. But and I wouldn't be at all surprised to see a Cork Limerick All-Ireland, because I don't think Kilkenny are back yet. So
Jimmy, I have to say, I think, I mean, Limerick will be playing Waterford. I would be nervous, because I'll tell you why. Waterford put them to the pin of their corner last year. And again this year in the league and that, you know. I mean, Waterford are a very, very good team.
Yeah.
And if you think of the standard of hurling in Munster, it shows when you look 3 out of the 4 teams in the semi-final of the All-Ireland are Munster teams.
That's right.
And I'll tell you something, Anna, the only reason it's only 3 out of the 4 is because Leinster have to pretty much manage to get to there. I mean,
yeah,
whoever wins the Leinster final is in the All-Ireland semi-final. If it was an open draw, it would be 4 Munster teams.
it would be. I agree with you. Yeah.
Now, Derwynne, before we close, will you be watching the Lions anyway next weekend again for yourself?
I will be.
Yeah. And how, despite our harsh criticism, do you think that they'll be able to put it up to the All Black or the Springboks in any way?
No.
No.
I don't think so either.
I think the Springboks are just getting better and better, and I think I'd say that the Lions have just taken an enormous confidence dent as well, because they weren't just beaten; they were wiped off the pitch, really, weren't they?
They were, yeah.
I think I don't agree with either of you. I think if Gatland makes the right statement on Thursday or Friday and puts it up to the referee to referee properly and makes a statement that's of the type which Gatland is capable of. If Gatland was to say something like, if we get a pro South Africa refereeing performance, I will never bring the Lions down here again. I think it will be a thundering disgrace. And he should say it, because apart from anything else, he can't have very many years left and it can't hurt him. Plus, he'd be a hero back in Western Europe if he was to come up with something like that. If he keeps his mouth shut and lets South Africa bully the All Blacks again, and if he allows the referee, if the referee allows that to happen, they're not going to win. If the referee starts sending off Springboks very early, I don't see how the Lions could not perform against them, because it's not a game of bullying. They have to. The Lions have to drop that. The Blondie winger is appalling.
And the South African lad, Van der Merwe.
Yeah, Van der Merwe, yeah.
I can't believe that Rhys Zammit's not had a game.
No, or Daly. Daly is another one who should be out there as well, you know. And as far as I know, they were. I saw it in the paper on Saturday. Saw it in the Irish Times today. They were talking about who the team should be, and they were saying that to put Aki and Henshaw.
Henshaw and Aki in the middle, yeah.
In the middle, definitely, and put whoever Aki would be replacing on the wing would be a good move, because Van der Merwe is appalling. Bad in the air, dropping passes. Okay, he's big and he's tough, but Jesus, I'm big and tough as well. But
what was he doing with that trip? I mean, he wasn't just late to the tackle. I mean, that was you'd like to see that coming from. I'm gonna upset Anna now. Say a Liverpool defender, wouldn't it? But
no, you mean someone like Harry Maguire? You know,
donkey,
moving donkey like Harry Maguire.
Yeah, or Tony Adams.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you.
By the way, lads, before Jimmy and Anna and Simon Zebo was back with Munster. He's probably
saw that on social media. Yeah. And Pat, before we go, can we also congratulate Treaty United? Their women and their men both won the weekend.
Fantastic. I know the Treaty won 4-1 away to Athlone Town. They're joint second. They're looking,
and their women beat Cork City.
Yes.
And some of their women have been called up to a camp that's out in UL for the under, which my husband's grandniece is one of them, which has been called up for a camp to select the under-19 Irish team.
Fantastic. We look forward. Huh? We
I
look,
think there's
nice to
about
see
3
them.
of the treaty team have been called up to that.
we
Yeah.
look
It's
forward,
nice
Jimmy.
to see that happening, Anna, because I'm sick and tired of looking at at women's soccer in the League of Ireland, and all you see is Peamount United and
Yeah.
Wexford, and everybody with anybody getting an Irish cap either plays for Peamount, if they're not playing in England, Peamount or Wexford. So it's great to see teams.
But
from
I was telling
outside
Jimmy,
that.
I was telling the lads last week, Peamount beat Treaty 7-2 last week. And my husband's granny, Jenna Slattery, she got the 2 goals for Treaty, you know. So I mean,
Yeah.
even though Treaty might be winning, they're still showing their talent. They're young. Most of them are only 17,
Oh, they're very young.
18. They're a very, very young senior team, you know.
And we
Great
look
stuff.
forward
Great
to
stuff.
Kelly Harrington winning the bronze at around 4:45 in the morning.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
This is Monday the 2nd of October. Derwynne, we hope
I'll be sitting here with a brandy anyway.
yeah,
Good girl.
and we want to wish Limerick and Waterford, Cork and Kilkenny all the best next weekend. We'll dissect it here next Monday night. And Derwynne, we look forward to a few stand tickets for Brentford next season for the odd match or two.
Derwynne, make sure you get me one when we're playing Liverpool. I'll be there.
Okie dokie.
And all we
It's
need,
very handy actually,
all
because
we need is a sleeping bag and a floor space.
listen, I mean, Ryanair will drop you off a couple of 100 yards up the road from it. So there you go. No
That's
problem.
what I'm saying. Will you come, Jimmy, as well, will you?
I will.
The 2 of us will be off. So, Derwynne, that's 2
Definitely,
tickets.
Okie dokie.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'll have Mary in a minute saying
And
she
I'll
come
be
as well.
playing my Rod Stewart tapes because he nearly played for them once as well. So there you go.
Anyway, lads, it's been a blast. Thanks again for your time, and it's really, really appreciated from Anna, from Jimmy, from Derwynne, and from myself.
See
To
you.
you again, lads. Good evening and good luck.
Take
It
care,
was
guys.
a pleasure,
See
Pat.
you all.
Always
Good night, all.
is.
Mind yourself.
Night, lads. Night.